Hi, my name is Brad Watkins, and welcome to Volkswagen North Scottsdale. I'm the shop foreman here. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Nice to meet you. So, I was talking to my service advisor, and I understand that you have a few concerns about how your adaptive cruise control system works. From here on out, I'm going to refer to it as ACC, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, I wanted to go over a couple things. The ACC system is meant to act as a passenger that is constantly aware of what's going on while you're driving. So as you're using it, you still need to be aware of your surroundings and be hands-on with the vehicle in case you need to come to a stop or make a maneuver. You know, it does not drive itself, so it'll slow down and speed up depending on the following distance you have set and the speed you have set also. This system is a great system. It uses a radar sensor. Actually, you have your car here. The radar sensor is behind your emblem. And what it does is it shoots a radar signal out and it'll bounce off a moving object ahead of you, which another vehicle. It will not detect stopped vehicles. So if there's one on the side of the road and you happen to be behind it, it will not see that. So you need to be aware of what's around you when you're driving. As it's shooting the radar out, it goes 390 feet out in front of the vehicle, and it will look to see moving objects in front of you. You want to be above 18 miles an hour when you go to set the system to activate it. If you're below 18 miles an hour, the system will not activate. So just make sure that you're above 18 miles an hour. And once the system activates, then you can hit the distance select button, and that will allow you to select the following distance. There are 5 following distances that you can set. Each one will have a greater following distance, and that distance will increase the faster you go. So say you're on the freeway and you're at 65 miles an hour, but then you want to move up to 75 and you keep the same following distance set in the system. As you speed up, your car will follow further behind the car ahead of you to help with braking when it's time to slow down. Just a safety feature that's built in. So it's good to always be aware of what's going on, but you don't have to constantly have your foot on the gas or the brake at all times. You actually don't want to rest your foot on the gas or the brake while the adaptive cruise control system is operating, because if you touch the brake, it will deactivate the system. If you accelerate, it will accelerate depending on your foot position. So it could go faster, it will go faster than what your set speed is at, just to be aware of that. So it's something to kind of think about. I do have your repair order right here, and I wanted to go over some of those things with you, if that's okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, so the first thing that you have concerned with is you say that when using your ACC, the following distance is too close when you first set it. So that is a default setting. As soon as the engine is started or the car is started and you turn on the ACC system, there is a set value, which is going to be the third selection of following distance. So if you are far away from a car ahead of you and you hit the set button and you did not select the following distance, it will automatically set at the default. So just keep that in mind when you're going to set your cruise control, that you adjust the following distance, which I will show you how to do that, so we'll go over that in a minute. Just wanted to make sure you understood how the system works. Is that okay? Are you good with that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Your next concern you had was that when coming to a stop, the car won't hold the brakes, and then you'll get a warning chime in the instrument cluster, from the instrument cluster, and the indicator will say, apply brakes, but then you also say that happens intermittently too. So one thing that you need to remember is that when you get below 18 miles an hour, the system will deactivate, and you will get the warning chime in the instrument cluster, as well as apply brakes, which then in turn you will need to take over braking. If you decide to apply the brakes before you get to the 18 miles an hour, you won't get the warning chime and you won't get the apply brakes coming up in the MFI. So that could be why it's intermittently happening. If you're being aware of what's going on, you apply the brakes before you get to that 18 miles an hour, then you won't get that warning chime. So does that make sense to you?
So is the warning chime just kind of saying that the car, you need to apply the brakes, that the car's not going to come to a complete stop on its own?
That is very correct. It will allow you to be aware as soon as it's slowing down past 18 miles an hour that you need to take over braking, because it will not fully brake for you to a complete stop.
Okay, so it's probably intermittent because sometimes I apply the brake and other times I don't?
Correct. And then the final thing that you have is that you would like to disable the ACC system, but still use cruise control. So the way the system is designed, it will only operate in ACC mode, adaptive cruise control mode. It will not operate in a normal cruise control to where you have to apply the brakes and stuff like that, like the previous generation vehicles did.
So it's it's only the ACC. Like there's no regular cruise control. This is the only cruise control available.
Correct. This is the only cruise control available. Okay, so here you have the on button and off button. So you press that to activate the system, and in the MFI display, you will see the gray lines, the white lines and gray lines light up. So when you get to your following distance or your set speed you want to be at, you'll hit the set button right here. Once you hit the set button, it will turn on the system and set the speed to whatever you have it set at. Anything over 18 miles an hour, remember that. And you can also adjust the following distance with this button here. So these two buttons, the plus and minus, will increase or decrease your speed. If you press it once, it'll change the speed 1 mile an hour. If you press and hold the button, it goes up in 5 mile an hour increments. You can also go down in 5 mile an hour increments if you press and hold the minus, or press it once to go down 1 mile an hour. This is going to be your following distance button for the ACC system. So once you press that button, it will change the following distance on the display in 5 different settings. So that's going to be the closest, and this is going to be the furthest away. Okay? So once you get to the furthest away, and say it's too far away, you'll hit it one more time, it'll go close, and then you just hit it again if you want to go a little further out in your following distance. And remember, as your speed increases, that following distance will be greater, so don't be worried if you start falling further and further behind the faster you go with your set speed. That just increases your ability to stop in a safe manner. So once your cruise control system is activated and you're following the car ahead of you, if you want to cancel it or stop, you can hit the cancel button right here. And what that'll do is that'll deactivate the system, kind of pause it, so that you can do whatever you need to do. And if you want to go back to the same following distance and speed you were at, you can press the resume button. And when you press the resume button, that will increase your speed and go to the following distance that you had previously set.
So it doesn't go back to the default, which would be kind of like in the middle.
Correct, because you'd already had a set speed on that key cycle. So every
that's
time
only when you turn off the car.
When you turn off the car and turn it back on, it'll go to this default distance right here. But if you hit the cancel or you press the brakes to deactivate the system, if you needed to stop and you didn't fully come to a stop and you're above 18 miles an hour, you want to get to where you had set before, you hit the resume button and it'll go back to the following distance and speed that you were set at. If you scroll to the settings menu, go to assistance, and then in assistance you go to ACC and then to settings. And what that is there's an eco setting, a normal setting, and a sport setting. The eco setting will accelerate slower than normal mode will. Normal mode will accelerate just as you're used to. And then if you put it in sport mode, it accelerates quicker and slows down quicker to give you more of a sporty feel while you're driving. Okay, so there's one more thing that I really wanted to show you. There's no cars ahead of us right now. If you hit the set button, it will set the speed that you're currently at and whatever following distance you had prior. So even though there's no one ahead of you, you can still use your cruise control and not have to follow a car ahead of you. You can use the speed. But if you do come up on a vehicle, the car will slow down and the system will follow the vehicle ahead depending on what set speed you have.
So it's almost like the original cruise control when there's not a car ahead of you.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
So to go back to your concern about deactivating the cruise control adaptive portion, there is no way to do that, but you can still set the cruise control at a speed instead of having to follow a car. So you don't always have to be following people to use your cruise control.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and thanks again for coming to Volkswagen North Scottsdale. I'm Brad Watkins, and I hope you have a great day.
You too, thank you.
Thanks.